All right. Hi, Mira. Thank you for coming to do this interview with us. I'm excited to have you here. Did you want to give us a little background on who you are, where you're from, and who you represent?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Mira. I was originally born in Vancouver. I went to school in Calgary, Alberta for technical theater and design. I identify as trans, and recently I'm a communications manager for Queer Yukon.
That's amazing. What an amazing feat.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, it's quite a jump to go from like theater and technical design to communications, but I'm really enjoying it so far.
Yeah, that's good. I'm happy to hear that you're in a place that you enjoy, and I'm sure you feel like empowered there. So
yes, it makes a huge difference to be part of an organization that is, I don't have to come in with a bunch of standards or questions, or I don't have to come in worried so much about what I'm getting into, and it's just kind of the expectation there that I'm going to be respected and accepted for who I am.
Oh, I love that. I'm so happy for you. This is part of a campaign through the Yukon government. And so I just wanted to get your opinion on some health-related questions. What does wellness mean to you?
You know, I've been thinking about this a lot recently. Actually, I've just finished a book called Care Work by Leah Lakshmi. It's Dreaming Disability Justice. And I think it's actually reframing a lot of my opinions on what wellness is and how we take care of ourselves, but also how we take care of others or we receive care. And I think wellness is... it's almost a framework or like a web of care for the community and for the individuals in the community. And it's a system that enables that and empowers that without withholding access or creating barriers.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a really good, it sounds like it's something you're really passionate about. And
yes, definitely.
you've put so much thought into, so that's really good. In what ways does living here in the Yukon help you with your wellness plans and goals?
My personal wellness plans and goals?
Yes,
I mean, the nature and the proximity to it is huge. One of the biggest reasons I moved to the Yukon, one was I was just ready to move on from Alberta, but it's just its proximity to nature and the access to so much beautiful and luscious wildlife. Like and we're actually in my favorite season right now, fall, where the trees turn yellow and orange and sometimes red, and like those are all my favorite colors to see, just kind of like the hills just glow with the sun and everything. So it's I think the nature plays a big role in just being able to go outside and, you know, take a walk and be away from the city in like 5-10 minutes, or go on a hike 10 minutes out of town. Like it's super important.
Yeah, so you don't have to travel 2 hours to de-stress in nature, right?
Exactly,
so,
yeah.
I could literally walk out my front door and there's nature.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. I enjoy doing that too. I'm like, even if it's on my lunch break, in the summer, I always have my kayak on my roof, and I'm like, just 10 minutes out on the lake, please. I'll unload it, jump in, go for a paddle, come back, and I'm good.
Totally.
Sleep, nutrition, exercise. Which of these do you do best with?
I would say nutrition. Taking care of others through cooking and nutrition helps me take care of myself in a lot of ways. And I love to cook, and I love to kind of be creative with cooking. And I think being able to cook for a lot of people in my life, when I'm alone sometimes it's a little hard to monitor that. But when I'm thinking about like others and what their needs are, it's like, okay, well, wait. What are my needs then as well, and what do I need to look out for nutrition and food? So I would say nutrition's probably the one I do best at.
Oh, that's good. So your love language is food, kind of?
Definitely, yeah. That's how I show care first and foremost.
That's good. Yeah. I'm similar too, and I hear you talking about how important community is. So that's probably, and you get to use your creative background too. So.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, everyone needs food always,
yes,
and it's such an easy thing to share if you can.
Yeah, exactly. And then you just get to hang out and put nutrients into your body, but share energy, and usually everyone's laughing or telling stories.
Oh, there's so much to be said about like sharing a meal with friends and family. It's super important, and it's always we've been doing it for forever, right?
Forever, yes. one of my favorite things about traveling is like I'll just pick a random restaurant and go there and like chat with the locals and the waitresses and stuff and like have meaningful conversations with them when they have time. But just to like, you know, see how it is in the area, because then you're sharing.
Yeah,
sharing
absolutely.
and nutrition. Is there one of those that you find more challenging? How would you try to go overcome it?
Exercise, I think, is probably the one that I find to be the most challenging. I think it's mostly motivation and time. Work eats up so much of my life, and finding time to kind of decompress from work and personal time for myself. Sometimes I don't always consider like exercise as part of that care plan. So it's definitely the most challenging area that I would love to do better at. Yeah. Definitely, because I love swimming is one of my most favorite physical activities, and there's just so many opportunities, especially in the summer, for just jumping in a lake or in any kind of body of water. Yeah.
Do you have any like little goals already in place to try to get better with your exercise?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's especially last winter, it was very challenging. Again, all this water kind of freezes over, and it's a lot harder to access in the winter up here. So I do want to be more invested in my physical health with exercise over the winter by maybe, you know, going to the pool if I can, or you know, even walking is such a great activity, and that's just something that can be shared with friends. You know, hiking is just, everyone goes at their own pace if they can, and I used to snowshoe with my dad when I was a kid, so maybe that's something I can bring back this year.
That's a good idea. And if you, I know that there's a local business, I think, that rents out snowshoes, or you can get them for pretty cheap.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's great.
So that you could try them out ahead of time, you know?
Yeah.
And if you end up enjoying it, be like, I'm going to go buy a pair now and just have them with me all the time.
That would be excellent. Yeah.
Right?
Thank you.
That's a cool goal to have. So I know you kind of already mentioned this, but why is being on the land so important to you?
I'm still trying to discover what my personal connection to nature is, and the way that I interact with it, and the way it interacts with me. And I think building that relationship for myself is not one that I can't do without considering the like original stewards of the land and their relationship with it. And I think a lot of that goes into how I approach living on this land in a respectful and a way that doesn't kind of imply any kind of ownership, right? Like this isn't my land. I think even using words like our land is implying some kind of possessive nature to it. And I don't think anyone can own land, right? We're a part of it.
Above nature.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's trying to live in harmony with it, right? And I think we can all do more of that across the globe as well. And I think if we can develop a healthier relationship to the land, and one that's sustainable for generations to come, then I think that's also going to make us healthier people as well. And so
amazing.
I don't know really what that physically looks like, but that's why it's important to me, right? Is like I'm trying to build a relationship with it myself.
Yeah, that's good. And that will tie into your exercise as well.
Totally.
Yeah, I remember when I first wanted to start working out after I had my first child, and I was like nervous to go to the gym and stuff. I joined this outdoor thing where it was other moms that were also the same like awkward stage, you know, and our trainer took us around and showed us like on the Millennium Trail how to do exercises using your stroller and using like a random bench or a tree, and it was so much fun because it was connecting with nature but in a city setting, like in an urban setting, and working on exercise. It's something I tend to go to sleep, and then I'm like, no, you need to get up and do something else.
Totally.
You know, and I'm overwhelmed.
Absolutely. No, I mean, those three categories you said with like exercise, nutrition, and sleep, those are all things that like we do in nature and with the land, right? Like nutrition especially, I try to use as many local ingredients or grow as many ingredients as I can and incorporate that into every meal. Because I find it very special, as well as nutritious, but also very special to like have things that I grew myself or that my friends or community grew.
Yes, because that's
Yeah.
it's a community again,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, it always comes back to community.
Yes,
Yeah.
because that is such a big part of wellness is that sense of community, and that's how I feel.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So we know that there's everyday choices that we can make to help keep us well. What are some everyday choices that you're conscious of that you have to make every day too?
That can be challenging sometimes, I think, when you're so busy or when you're kind of like overcome with a lot of things happening in your life and taking over your mind. So frequent check-ins as often as I can with myself or colleagues and friends as well. Having people that can also do that for you in return to kind of check in and ask, like, not just a surface, how are you doing, but like, is there anything I can do to help you today? Or is this like, I think building those closer connections, it's a lot easier to be more honest, not only with them, but with yourself about what your needs are. So like building a system for like being able to check in with yourself in some way. And I think it takes, as you grow and develop a relationship to your body and your mind, you can sometimes feel, or you understand more why you're feeling certain things, right? Like at the end of the day, a lot of us feel exhausted for whatever reason, and sometimes it's physical, mental, or both. And you can kind of see things coming ahead of time with like burnout or I need rest, or right now I need food, or sometimes I don't know why I'm feeling this way. So like maybe I'll just try something until it feels like that's the thing that's going to give me some recovery.
Yeah.
And pre-planning ahead of time for when I am like in a good mood or in a good space. Pre-planning for the times where I might not be in that space. So, that's, if you have the time, sometimes making sure you have snacks available at all times. Sometimes making lunch can be hard, time allowing, or like breakfasts, I know a lot of people skip. So kind of pre-peppering things and putting those aside and having them available. Snacking throughout the day is a great way to just like kind of get some constant nutrition into your body. Hopefully like healthy snacks, whatever that may mean.
Also sometimes it's good to indulge too.
Absolutely. No, I firmly believe in treating oneself, because it's like we're all on this earth for such a short amount of time.
So it sounds like an everyday choice that you make is that you try to be self-aware, prepare for.
Absolutely. Yeah, self-awareness can be hard, but I think that's just the one that I do the most actively and frequently. Just trying to kind of live in my body and figure out what its needs are at every moment of time.
And then you also mentioned having like a support system. So again, it's community, right?
Absolutely.
The elders that I speak with, that I have in my little circle, they always tell me, you need to share the load with other people and let them share the load with you, because then it's not as heavy.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Right?
Definitely.
Yeah, so like, and being open to that and holding that safe space to be like, yes, you can come and talk to me. And if I'm in crisis mode, I know and trust that I can come to you for a safe space, right?
Definitely.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's amazing. Why is it important to protect your health and the health of others? I know it's a big question.
It's a big one, because I feel like for me it should be obvious, right? Like I think especially that second part, why it's important to protect the health of others, is because that's how you protect yourself. It's a hard question, because for me I think it should be obvious, especially that later half there of protecting others is, I think it's something that was really illustrated to me during the pandemic is taking responsibility for your health also meant taking responsibility for the health of everyone around you. And it's something that I think really ties into disability justice and transformative justice, is that society isn't just for the individual or for you. I think a lot of messaging seems to like really prize the individual, but we only succeed as a collective and as a group and as a community, and taking care of that community, even if like wearing a mask might be inconvenient for you at the time, it's not just for you, right? It's for everyone else, because you could spread COVID or you could spread something else. And that also means, like building a ramp into your venue is one good thing that you could do, but that doesn't really account for the entire system of getting to that building from a person's house, which could also be inaccessible in a lot of ways, right? Especially during the winter when sidewalks aren't shoveled or roads aren't plowed or there's no like reliable transit and access to things too. It's I think you have to always look at things as a larger system of care, and that's important to me because I want to see us do well, and I want to see my community do well, and for me to succeed and do well in my life, that relies on the health of everyone around me, even those who I might not always be friends with or I might not consider to be a part of my community. I care for everyone in that way because I want, for me to be healthy, everyone else needs to be healthy as well.
Yes, definitely. Especially here where like so many people's values are about community. So how do you personally protect your health and the health of others?
I think in a real, tangible, obvious way is I still choose to remain masked in a lot of situations, in a lot of environments. It's offering care when I have the capacity to offer care, and whatever that may look like for whatever someone might need. I think it's constantly learning and being open to being wrong about something. Listening to the most vulnerable members of our community who are at high risk of disease or who carry multiple disabilities, or the intersections of many marginalized identities. It's important to listen to them and what their needs are, and then do your best to not only provide care for them if you can, but also reflect those things in how you live your life day to day, right? It's demanding better access to resources and more accessible venues, and trying to remind people of like the importance of remaining masked in certain settings.
Humor for me is a really big part of mental health and overall health.
No, absolutely. That's actually a very good point. It's I think it's not as valued as a lot of other aspects. It's just like being able to laugh about things is hugely important.
Especially laughing at ourselves too, and being like, or checking ourselves, right? Like you said, when you're self-aware, being like, the way that I responded in that situation, I think I was a little bit too emotional. So I need to think about how I'm going to convey the message that I'm trying to give without those extra emotions. Or
definitely. I think a lot of people, when we react to something, especially something that could be like criticism in some way, or we have a tendency to react defensively. And when I learned that, and I read a whole book about that kind of thing, I started to see that pattern in myself of when I would react to something defensively. And I would try to catch myself and be like, wait a minute, is what this person's saying, is it valid? Is it true? Like, well, obviously it's valid because everything that everyone says is valid to the extent that they believe it to be true. But do they have something there for me to learn? Is there a lesson for me to learn and incorporate? So I try not to react defensively anymore to things, because it shows humility, and I try to use it as an opportunity to grow and to learn, and to also just enter into things with less conflict right away, right?
For sure, that was something myself I've struggled with in the past. When I became self-aware of that same kind of thing, I was like, I know for my own self if it's something I'm really passionate about, or something that I find offensive, that I know now I need to take the time by myself to like check my emotions and be like, am I being irrational, or am I, how can I approach this and send the right message back? Checking myself and being able to laugh about silly things too as well, and trying to give my opinion without being so emotional that it's going to affect others around me, right?
Absolutely.
in a not so great way.
I think giving yourself space is huge, right? Like, I've talked a lot about community care, but that's good for receiving it when you need it, but to be able to provide it the other way is you need to be in a place where you are cared for and you are taking care of yourself in some ways, right? Like if you're unwell, it's very hard to be able to provide care for someone else. And allowing yourself time to rest, to like heal, giving yourself space to be silent or alone or whatever it is you might need to recover is huge, right? Like you do have to look after yourself because you don't want to burn yourself out. I think one sentence I heard recently that I've been really trying to incorporate is like the work itself has to be healing. Even if your work is to heal others, the act of doing it has to be healing to yourself as well. Or else it's not a sustainable system, right? You're going to burn yourself out, and you eventually that takes you out because you'll have to take an extended time to recover, and then there's a community or however many people that rely on you are now left without that care or that web,
care
right?
as well. Yeah, exactly. Saying that I picked up and kind of hold to myself on a daily basis is that instead of being triggered in a situation as like a negative thing, I say thank you for triggering me because I know what I need to work on now, right?
That's
So
good.
it's
Yeah.
like if I get triggered by something throughout the day, even if it's not something I need to react to or talk on again ever again, when I get home it's like, okay, but why was I triggered? Okay, what did it make me feel? What can I do to, if I don't want to feel that again the next time that situation comes up? So again, it's that self-awareness and giving myself that time and my own self that humility and making sure my bucket doesn't run dry.
Totally. And you can only be so self-aware too, right? Like it's good to have people in your life that you're close to, that you trust, who can like call you out or call you in or however you want to say that, right? Like it's very helpful. I feel like I'm a very self-aware person, but I've had people come to me and say things to me that were very surprising and very like illuminating at the same time. It's like, I didn't know I was doing that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that that's how I was behaving or what I was saying with that. And that's like, it's helpful to have people that you can trust who can do that and be that person for you.
What would you say to somebody who is feeling unwell or sick and they don't want to miss work or an event or miss out on being social?
My automatic and immediate response is always like, take the time you need to rest and recover. Events like that will come again. You won't be able to fully participate in them in the way that you want to anyway or that you need to. Work can always wait. It's most important to take the time to recover and take care of yourself. It always sucks to miss out on a fun activity that you're really looking forward to. It'll come again, right? Like it's just much more helpful to take care of yourself in that moment, and your body and your mind will appreciate it in the long run, right? The health should always, I think, come first in a lot of ways.
So what are some things that you do for your own self for those times that you have to miss an event or you have to miss something because you're feeling unwell? What are some things that you do at home or some advice you can give to somebody to make it not such a heavy experience?
For me, it's actually, it's an easier question when it comes to like fun events, or not necessarily fun events, but events and like social activities. I'm much more able to miss those and not worry so much about them because again, I know that those will come again, but very hard for me to miss work. I put a lot of care into what I do and I'm very passionate about it. And even though I just said like a minute ago that like the work can always be paused, it can always be stopped, it's harder to do in practice. Again, especially when you're passionate about your job or you care about it. But I think there's always this saying in theater about like the show must go on. And I really try to push against that because no, it doesn't have to. To do that, what that looks like when you take that time off and that you need to take and you rest and you recover, and to do it in a healthy way is find time to treat yourself. Even though you're sick, it doesn't mean that you can't attempt to find small comforts in your environment, right? If you can have a bath, pour yourself a bath, right? Or have maybe a little extra long of a shower. And soups are great for recovery, and they're also delicious.
So they
and
warm
like
you from the inside.
exactly,
It's like a hug from the inside.
definitely, right? It's like have food that makes you feel good, right? And find ways to treat yourself. Like if you can't go out and socialize with your friends, maybe find ways to interact with them remotely, that if you're still in a healthy place to be able to do that, you're not needing to rest in bed. Find ways to watch movies remotely together or play some games remotely. Or
I was just gonna say that's what my sister and I do. We'll like be on video chat on our phones and then hit play at the same time on Netflix.
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
we
definitely.
have our little snacks, and it's like as if we're socializing, but from home while we're resting in bed.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of things you can do in bed that are still like healing and connected to community, even though you might not be physically present with them. And finding those ways, even just reaching out by text to someone is something that is like very low engagement. It doesn't require a lot of physical energy. And if you're just kind of stuck in bed and you're sad and sick, just like send a message to someone, right? And see how they're doing. Ask them if, just catch up, right?
Yeah.
Reach out to someone, I think is always big, because it's good to be alone sometimes, but it's good to have someone or a community that you can reach out to.
Yeah, it's good to know that being alone is a choice and not because you're being forced to, right?
Yeah.
So maintaining some kind of connection should you want it, to know that you can trust and have that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. We have to wash our hands a lot more often to protect ourselves and protect others and keep each other healthy. Do you have any like washing your hand rituals, or do you like have a silly song or hum while you're washing your hands?
I remember, at the beginning of the pandemic, it was like songs that last 20 seconds was like a big popular thing for people. And I have a smartwatch, and I remember there was like a new feature right at the beginning of the pandemic. It was like, it'll set a timer automatically every time it detects you're washing your hands. And it's like, wow, it's very smart technology, very invasive in a lot of ways too, though.
Yes.
But I actually found it more frustrating to use than I thought it would be. And so I don't know if I sing a song or have any rituals, but I work a lot with my hands, so I do try to take very good care of them. I'm also sometimes a very nervous person, which I fidget a lot with them. And so I think textural kind of things are really big, and having, a nice comfortable soap always makes washing your hands more pleasant, right? Something that feels good texturally. If it's a scent is a big thing, then finding something that smells good to you.
Is there somewhere that you go that you routinely wear your mask? Do you wear it like whenever you're not in your safe spaces?
People who I don't see very frequently, or public spaces, big gatherings, things like that. So like grocery stores, I always wear my mask. Public events or places that events that happen indoors, I'm always masked. And situations with newer people or in closed spaces. I think when I do choose to not wear my mask, it's at home. Sometimes it's outdoors. Most of the times it's outdoors. And it's with people who I've like built a good, strong, confident relationship with, where I know that like if one of us gets sick, we have that network to be able to take a test, or when did I see you last? So it's more easily kind of traceable in that way. It's like
you can trust, right?
Definitely, yeah. And if I'm choosing to be unmasked around someone, then I have to trust that I know, not that I know, but I have to trust that they've been making good and safe choices as well, right?
Yeah.
I haven't gotten COVID yet. Which seems more and more increasingly rare by the day, but I do feel like I'm making good decisions when it comes to being masked.
That's good. And sounds like you're taking good precautions to make sure that you're not getting sick.
Definitely, yeah.
So let's talk about the vaccination. So you are vaccinated?
I am.
Yes.
It's good. We should all get it.
Yes. Why was getting vaccinated important to you?
It's just like masking, and it's just like, I think what I said earlier, it's taking responsibility to protect your community. I know a lot of people boil it down to, it's a personal choice, and I should be able to choose whether or not I get it, which we can get into or we cannot get into, but I think ultimately the choice for me comes down to caring for my community. If I'm not a vector for spreading the disease or any disease, then that's not just only good for me, but good for everyone else around me. I can take personal account of my health every day, or as often as I can. And that's a choice that I could make, but it's not just me getting the virus, right? Because if I get the virus, everyone else I see is now at risk of getting it as well, and everyone else that that doesn't just include, right, like close connections or friends and family members. That can just be anyone in the community.
Right.
And I want to be responsible for my community's health in that way, right? It's it's more of a choice, a collective choice, than it was a personal one.
Yeah, and it's because we're all a part of something. How do you prefer to stay digitally connected with your friends and family? Do you guys FaceTime a lot?
I'd say the most common one was not my preferred method, but everyone really relied on Zoom, which is, a great platform in a lot of ways, despite my personal opinions and feelings on it. But I'm a big texter and a big caller, and I really enjoy just kind of conversations, regardless of if I'm seeing someone's face or not. And so like phone calls are always huge for me. It's the classic, right? It's been around for a while now, and it's my preferred way of engaging with someone long distance is through a phone call. And it's much more, there's less hiccups or reliant on like internet infrastructures in many different places. It's more accessible in that way. So it's not like, oh, I lost you, or, oh, could you repeat that again? You're cutting out. All these things that we've grown so used to now. It's just like, I can just call you on the phone and we can have a conversation and connect. There've been a lot of unique ways that I've tried too, right? Like playing games online together and FaceTime sometimes. I usually try to steer clear of kind of Facebook and any of their platforms these days, so not big on Messenger. Group chats were really overwhelming. The larger the group chat, the more overwhelming. And I found myself engaging with them less and less just because like the endless notifications, and like when you do have time to come back to it, you have like a huge block of text to catch up on. It's just like, this makes me not want to get into this, right? So it's, I think, one-on-one and interactions I'm always going to prefer personally. Yeah, my sister and I will get on just a regular plain old phone call with our Bluetooths because she lives in Grand Prairie. And we usually talk when it's like house cleaning time. Totally, yeah. Because then I'm like, then at least I'm not stuck in my head or overthinking things, or like, thinking about things that don't pertain to the day. Like if it's my day off, I don't want to be thinking about work. So I'll be like, hey, I'll put my headphones on, and me and my sister will just be like doing our dishes and folding our laundry, and you just feel like somebody's there, And totally, it's like sharing space with that person, and like it's what I would do with a friend or a family member anyway, right? It doesn't always have to be so formalized when we spend time with people. It can just be like, hey, do you want to come on an errand with me? Or like, do you want to talk on the phone while I'm like doing the dishes, as you said, right? So it's, there's always time to find ways to connect and like fill it with times where your brain would just normally be like shutting off or cycling around some kind of frustration that happened in the day. Yeah, right? That's good.
Well, I'm glad to hear about all the ways that you're taking care of yourself and working really hard to take care of the community. It's very appreciated by a lot of people, and I'm very thankful that you got to come here and be interviewed because your voice really matters, and you have a very strong voice and you sound like a strong advocate. So I'm thankful to have shared your energy today, and I wish you luck on your journeys and on your goals and your traveling tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this has been great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, do you have any other comments that you want to share with your community?
I don't know. I feel like I've said most of what I would say anyway. It's just take care of yourselves. Take care of others if you can. And if you struggle to take care of yourself, reach out to someone.
Be open to being cared for.
Exactly. Sometimes it can be hard to accept help, but accept it. Try to accept it when it's offered, because people care about you, and you don't have to make it feel like they owe you anything. It's just care to what your capacity is, and people will care for you to what their capacity is.